Europeans, in any case, need to think in terms of what's next, a process towards a peaceful settlement, a ceasefire, guarantees, etc. And they need to think about that before Trump makes his initiatives. I think the fact that the Europeans are gathering now is a very healthy and very good development.
EU leaders and the NATO chief are meeting Ukraine's President Zelensky later today. Doubtless there will be a warm statement released afterwards expressing everyone's support for Ukraine's fight with Russia. But will there be some home truths told behind the closed doors? Let's ask Kai Edie, a former Norwegian ambassador to NATO. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, this seems like a semi-official meeting. Zelensky is meeting the NATO boss and all the other leaders of the EU, and David Lammy just happens to be around. Do you think that kind of, informality might help them get some business done, some decisions made, some hard decisions made?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the right way to proceed. Of course, it will offend some who are not invited, but I think if you want an informal discussion and an in-depth discussion, you simply need to do it that way. So I welcome that very much.
What kind of things, it feels very much like the debate, the discussions over Ukraine have changed, have gone into a different world now because of the imminent arrival of Donald Trump. How much is he influencing what kind of options people are now exploring when it comes to what is happening in Ukraine?
I think the fact that he's only a couple of weeks away from the White House means that, of course, there's a certain urgency to defining European positions. That's one aspect of it. But the second is also the situation on the ground. It does not look very good for the Ukrainians, and Europeans, in any case, need to think in terms of what's next, a process towards a peaceful settlement, a ceasefire, guarantees, etc. And they need to think about that before Trump makes his initiatives. I think the fact that the Europeans are gathering now is a very healthy and very good development, so that they are also prepared whenever a Trump initiative arrives. But the Europeans are facing some very difficult problems concerning not only the war, but also what will happen to the defense budgets, what will happen to US presence in Europe, etc. What is possible when Trump is in the White House?
If Donald Trump did decide that he didn't like the direction of negotiations and he pulled his support, what would that mean in terms of Europe, in terms of NATO? Would Europe be able to take on the whole of the defense of Ukraine?
No, I don't think so. Europe gives absolutely valuable contributions, but when it comes to the military assistance, etc., of course, US is still the heavyweight. So US presence and US participation will be required. The question is now, what will Trump present? What is his real ideas? What are his real ideas when it comes to a peaceful process? And there you have the question of guarantees, as I mentioned. There's been talk about European troops in Ukraine. There's a question of a ceasefire arrangement that has to be negotiated. That will also need some kind of international presence, different from the guarantees. It's a very difficult and complex situation, and the Europeans have to think through how they're going to meet that. And then, of course, you mentioned Trump. I could see that the new Secretary General of NATO mentioned that we have to move to a defense budget of 3% of our GNP. Is that possible? I don't think it is possible because we have a zero growth in Europe. Will Trump then express his dissatisfaction with Europeans when it comes to adjusting the US troop levels in Europe? Because there are all sorts of questions that we may be confronted with. The big problem is we don't know yet.
Yes, and we won't know for some time. Kai, thank you very much for speaking to us. That's Kai Edie. He's a former Norwegian ambassador to NATO.
Do you think Ukraine can
it takes two to tango, and we're going to have a good meeting today. And I think the fact that we're even together today is a very good sign. And hopefully we'll have a good victory because the other side wins, I don't think you're going to have victories with anything, to be honest with you. So we're going to sit down and just discuss it. And if we have a win, I think long before January 20th, before I would take the presidency, it's January 20th. But long before that, I think that we can work out something that's good for both sides. It's time. And by the way, the president knows that too. He wants to get something done. He doesn't want to do this. And so we look forward to having him. I mean, I look forward to being with him. But what I said is true. He was a piece of steel. He gave a very honest, straight answer, and that it really essentially ended the impeachment hoax. And I appreciated that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Do you think Trump fellow Republican?
Що таке? Що стало? Щось викидає. Думав, що краще. Ти щось сюди крутиш, крутиш? Ні, нормально.
Метрів 350. При отриманні курок взводиться, запобіжник тримає, з того умова повинен легко ходити. Тому що при виході гранати з запобіжника. Запобіжник від сторони руки. Ну якщо прицільно, якщо, блядь, просто мантильнуть, то хоч ногою. У нас таких, по-моєму, немає. У нас тупорилів.